Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. Welcome to the week 7 edition of the walkthrough with me, Jamie Hoyle. As you can see, unfortunately, another week here with no guest. I am working on guests for the next couple of weeks, but just was not able to find a quality guest for the Cardinals this week. So I'm going to do my own preview solo without a guest. Hopefully, you enjoy it. I think I've got some good information for you, some good insights into the Cardinals after watching some film. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start by talking about, I guess, the news of the day. The Jets have Mike Williams, former Charger wide receiver Mike Williams, on the trade block. It seems like there is some interest from a number of teams, reportedly as many as four. The Chargers being one of them. And it seems the Chargers called the Jets today, offered a 6th-round pick, and the Jets are actively accepting or actively receiving, I should say, trade offers for Mike Williams. So who knows if that will happen? I know there are some people who are excited about that option. As you can probably guess, I am not, for a variety of reasons. I think first and foremost, I hear people talking about adding Mike as a way of adding depth to the wide receiver room, and that's great. But I don't think adding depth is what the wide receiver room needs. I think the wide receiver room needs some stability and some production at the top of the depth chart to take some pressure off of QJ and Vlad McConkey, if that's the way they're going to go. And I just don't think Mike is that guy anymore. I know Chargers fans love him. I know he's got chemistry with Justin Herbert, and that's all great. But to me, Mike has not looked good on film since coming back from his Achilles tendon. He looks even slower than normal. He just doesn't look good physically, health wise. He did, I believe he came down with a concussion on that last pass from Aaron Rodgers on Monday Night Football. So he's hurt now while recovering from an Achilles tendon. And there have been a couple instances in the last couple of weeks where he may or may not have run the correct route. Excuse me. So to me, that just doesn't do much. I don't think it provides the stability and the production at the top of the depth chart for the Chargers. I don't think it does much to take pressure off of QJ and McConkey, and it's costly. I mean, if you look at some of the numbers being reported, he has I believe a $3 or $4 million base salary this year, and he's got per game roster incentives um, that are as high as I think 1.5 million or 1.75 million per game. So he's not going to come cheap. So you talk about giving up draft capital and giving up cap space for a guy who they already decided to let go, who isn't healthy, who hasn't been productive, and who I think we all realize probably won't be, even when he comes back, he won't stay on the field for very long because that's just the way things have gone for him the last few years. So I don't see how that helps the Chargers. So in terms of the news of the day with Mike Williams being on the trade block, uh, do you pick up the phone and make the phone call? Sure. It seems the Chargers did that already. Um, is that something that I'd be in a rush to complete? No, probably not. I just don't think it does much to help the Chargers. So that's my take on that. I know everybody's got a different opinion. That's fine. You're entitled to yours. Just doesn't do much for me when you talk about giving up a draft pick, even if it is a 6th-round pick, which, by the way, comes with 4 years of control and cap space for a guy who maybe gives you a handful of games this year. It just doesn't seem like a very good process to me. So I would pass, but that's me. Um, Having gotten that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the Arizona Cardinals. So the Cardinals last week lost 34-13 to the Packers. The week before that, they beat the 49ers 24-23. They've been pretty up and down, pretty wildly inconsistent so far through the first 6 games of the season. But this is a team that I think is not particularly well coached. I don't think they're playing very well. They do some things well, but overall, as a unit on offense and defense, I don't think they're playing particularly well. And I think their special teams is a little is subject to giving up some big plays, which could help the Chargers this week. So for me, I came with some keys to the game, as you might imagine. So let's go ahead. I think last week we started with the Chargers' offensive keys to the game. So this week I'm going to start with the defensive keys to the game. The Cardinals' offense is okay. James Conner's having a decent year. I think he's up over 400 yards rushing through the first 6 games of the season. He seems to have one good game followed by a couple bad games, and he'll mix another good game in there. So he hasn't been terribly consistent. They're not getting a whole lot out of their running game outside of James Conner. Obviously, you've got Kyler Murray back there running around, creating plays, extending and creating plays with his legs. So that is something the Chargers have to contend with. I think when you look at the Cardinals offense, the first thing you look at is kind of the offensive line and what kind of a unit is that. I don't think it's a particularly good unit. It's not terrible, but it's certainly open to being taken advantage of. And I think there's a good opportunity for the Chargers here to dial up some pressure as long as they're smart and intentional about it and how they do it and where it comes from. Um, to dial up some pressure and create some real problems for the Cardinals offensive line. This is a group that repeatedly had issues securing the interior of the pocket. They also struggle at the tackles at times. And I think there's an opportunity here for Chargers defensive coordinator Jesse Minter to really create some chaos up front along the line of scrimmage. And what I mean by that is I think the Chargers can get some free runs on the interior at Kyler Murray, which would make things very difficult for him because he is a smaller quarterback. He has a hard time seeing over the offensive line. So if we can get pressure in his face and kind of pin him in the pocket, I think you can have some success and force some turnovers. So for me, I would like to see some overload blitzes, really attack the right side of the offensive line for the Cardinals. I would like to see some stunts and twists along the interior. Maybe on 3rd and long, get some NASCAR packages in there and have Mac and Thule and Bud kind of twisting and winding around one another to create some pressure in the gaps and to create some confusion and some chaos in that offensive line. I think that's the first key to success. I don't think the Cardinals, even though they run the ball pretty well, I don't think this is an offensive line that's going to run the ball especially well against the Chargers defense with the way they've been stopping the run. So I'm not too worried about that. But I do want to hopefully come up with a game plan that forces Kyler Murray to drop his eyes and focus on the pass rush instead of looking downfield. And hopefully, like I said, trap him in the pocket so he has nowhere to go. I think once you've created some chaos up front, I think the next step to having success against this offense, and I'm going to use a phrase here. I'm doing it to kind of be funny and cute. Not trying to offend anybody, but I think you need to build the wall, kind of like what the Chargers did against Kansas City a couple weeks ago, where you are disciplined. You're not getting too far upfield. You're setting a firm edge and not letting Murray get outside of the pocket one way or the other so that the interior rush can hopefully get to him and affect some passes. And I think that's the best way to success, the best route, the best pathway to success when it comes to rushing Kyler Murray. Next, when you talk about assuming the Chargers stop the run, which I believe they will, I think next really one of the things that stood out to me on tape is Cardinals tight end Trey McBride is phenomenal. He's playing really well, making a lot of plays, and they get the ball to him in a variety of different ways with tight end screens. They run slants and digs. They run seam routes. He's one of their primary options in the red zone on corner routes. They really try to, attack defenses with him in a variety of ways, and you have to take him out of the game plan. You have to kind of erase him, and I think there's two ways to do that really. One is you need to find a good matchup with him in coverage, somebody who can run with him and keep him from making big plays. And I think you need to give him a number of looks, run some zone against him, bracket him, get your hands on him, be physical with Trey McBride, make it very difficult for McBride to get off the line of scrimmage. Don't give him any free releases. Make him earn every yard, make him earn every catch. That's the first thing. And the second thing is you have to give the Cardinals a reason to keep him in as a blocker. So you really have to attack the tackles when you can. That's why we're talking about overload blitzes. give them looks that force them to, keep McBride into chip or keep him into block, and at least delay his release and make it a little bit more difficult to get him the ball quickly. And those are things that I think you can do to take Trey McBride away. So again, for my first key to the game for the Chargers defensively is creating chaos up front with overload blitzes, stunts, twists, games, everything you can do to confuse the offensive line, particularly interior of the offensive line, but also give some really exotic pressure looks. Maybe get 7, 8 guys on the line of scrimmage before the snap, and then drop a few out into coverage, um, and force them to maybe go max protect, and hopefully keep McBride in more than they want to. So the next thing is building the wall. Like I mentioned, you need to be extremely disciplined in your pass rushes off the edge. You need to set a firm edge. You can't overrun or get too far upfield, and you have to force him to stay in the pocket, him being obviously Kyler Murray. And I talked about taking Trey McBride away. And finally, like I mentioned, you just have to be disciplined. Um, don't get too eager to get upfield. Be patient. Do your job. Don't try to do more than your job. Um, and tackle. The Chargers have been doing a great job of team tackling. They've been flying to the football, really swarming the football, and getting guys on the ground. And do that. Don't give up extra yards with missed tackles. Get them down early. Make them earn their way down the field. Make them earn every first down. Don't let the Cardinals make big plays because you were sloppy and missed tackles. So those are my defensive keys. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the Chargers offense. Watching the Cardinals defense, I think it's pretty clear to me, based on how the Chargers want to run their offense. I really think this is going to be a game where the Chargers can have their way on the ground. I think they're going to be able to run the ball downhill successfully, a lot of gap, a lot of duo, a lot of power. Get J.K. Dobbins and Kamani Vidal downfield, and downhill, I should say, attacking those linebackers. Those linebackers will miss tackles. They absolutely will. They can be a little hasty and sloppy. The secondary is not very good at tackling either. So lots of opportunities, I think, to make people miss and get big yards in the middle of that Cardinals defense, which I don't think is particularly good. Next key for me is getting the ball to your wide receivers and your running backs quickly. Swing passes, smoke screens, bubble screens, other manufactured touches, maybe some jet sweeps, some reverses, things like that. I think if you can get the ball into Lad McConkey's hands and QJ's hands, and especially Kamani Vidal's hands early in the passing game, with some space to work with, this is a group that's going to make the Cardinals miss, and you're going to get a lot of hidden yardage or extra yardage out of missed tackles. So definitely an opportunity for a lot of yak to extend plays and make big plays out of quick gains, quick hitters. And next, I think you need to attack the middle of this defense. I said it. I don't think the Cardinals linebackers are particularly good in coverage. I think you can attack their safeties to a degree as well. Lots of balls being completed in the middle of the field, seam routes, dig routes, comeback routes, deep overs, crossers, things like that. The Chargers still need to space things better, but I think there will be opportunities to get the ball to wide receivers and maybe even some tight ends in that void between the linebackers and the safeties. And I think that's going to be really important for the Chargers to have success moving the football against the Cardinals defense. And last, something that I saw a bit of that I liked, that I think more teams should do. The Packers really went about spreading out the Cardinals, and they forced Budda Baker to cover their wide receivers in the slot, and that resulted in some big plays. So Baker is a fantastic player. I'm not saying he's not a good football player. He absolutely is. He is a playmaker. But I think if you make him line up one-on-one with a slot receiver, and you have the opportunity to get the ball down the field, I think you're going to see some separation and some opportunities to make some big plays in the middle of the field. So my offensive keys to the game, again, are run the ball downhill, gap, duo, power, go right at them, make them tackle you. I think you're going to wear them down and get some big gains and some missed tackles. Quick passes early, which lead to some play action and deep passes late. I want to see the Chargers did a great job of throwing the ball more on first and second down last week. I think they need to continue doing that. So hopefully that's something that carries over from the Denver game plan, that they throw the ball on first and second down early and often. You start out with some short passes and extend that into the intermediate and deep parts of the field as the game goes on. And then I talked about attacking the middle of the defense and making Buddha cover in the slot, make him carry a wide receiver all the way down the field, take some shots at Buddha deep. I think there are opportunities to make big plays if you do that. So that's it. That's my game plan for the Cardinals game. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was informative. Thank you all for tuning in. We really appreciate the continued support. There is still more coverage coming from us moving forward. We should have a mailbag show, a roundtable on Friday, obviously after hours on Saturday. I'm sorry, on Sunday. And then we'll get back to normal programming. Actually, excuse me, not after hours on Sunday, after hours on Monday, because this is a Monday night game with the Cardinals. So after hours on Monday, you should see, I think I got 5 on it from Craig on Tuesday. You should see a score more from Garrett on Wednesday. And I will have a walkthrough covering the Saints game next Thursday, and I will have a special guest. His name is Andre the Power. He is a host on the Believe in Saints podcast, and he will be joining me next week. So looking forward to that. So thank you all very much. We appreciate it. As always, remember to like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff on Twitter, YouTube, join the Discord, all that. Thank you for the support, and we will see you next time.